A blood-soaked soldier sits alone in a trench, clutching a dying comrade's hand as the sound of distant artillery roars, the raw horror of war burning in his eyes. A collapsed concentration camp barracks filled with the skeletal remains of prisoners, silent testimonies to starvation, torture, and despair. A mass grave half filled with bodies, the stench of death lingering as vultures circle overhead in an endless feast. A mother's scream pierces the silence as she finds her child's blood-soaked clothes abandoned in the wreckage of their home. The torture chamber's walls smeared with blood, cries of the condemned echoing in the darkness beyond the camera's frame. A city street transformed into a slaughterhouse, where civilians lie broken and bleeding under shattered windows and rubble. A child's skull cracked open amidst ruins. The ultimate price paid by the most innocent in the horrors of war. A woman's bloodied hands clutching a torn family photo, the last piece of hope snatched away by war's brutality. A mother's anguished scream as she finds her child's lifeless body beneath shattered walls, the air heavy with the scent of death and destruction. A starving infant held by a trembling mother, ribs visible through skin stretched taut by hunger and suffering. A mass execution site littered with discarded shoes, a grim tally of lost lives and broken futures. A soldier's skull crushed under the tracks of a tank, the ultimate erasure of a human life beneath cold steel. A group of starving prisoners huddled together, faces sunken and eyes vacant, waiting for a death that never came soon enough. A child's torn dress snagged on barbed wire, fluttering in the wind over a field stained with blood and tears. A soldier's hand reaching out from beneath collapsed rubble, a desperate plea for life in the chaos of destruction. The shattered remains of a once thriving town, reduced to ashes and bones by relentless bombardment. A soldier's diary soaked in blood, pages torn and smeared with the grim story of death and despair. A soldier's hand stained with blood as he desperately applies a tourniquet to his own arm, fighting against pain and hopelessness to stay alive. The burnt body of a civilian lies sprawled across a battlefield, the price of war etched into every charred inch. An abandoned orphanage with children's drawings scattered among the debris, ghosts of lost childhoods haunting the ruins. An old man clutching a rusted rifle, tears streaming down his weathered face as he remembers friends lost to the relentless brutality of war. A child's broken bicycle lies abandoned next to a cratered road, a haunting reminder of innocence shattered by relentless bombing raids. A group of refugees huddled in the ruins of a church, faces gaunt and eyes hollow, silently mourning the lives lost and the homes destroyed. A soldier's helmet crushed beneath rubble, blood seeping from beneath as a grim reminder of a life cut brutally short. A woman's hands trembling as she digs through rubble searching for signs of her missing husband, the weight of uncertainty crushing her spirit. A young boy holding his father's dog tags, tears streaking down his dirt-covered face as the reality of loss sinks in. The dark, empty eyes of a concentration camp survivor staring blankly, haunted forever by horrors too terrible to forget. A mother cradles her wounded child in the rubble of their bombed home, tears mixing with dust on her face as sirens wail overhead and smoke fills the sky. A soldier's voice breaking as he reads a letter from home, the hope inside clashing violently with the horrors outside his trench. A child clutching a half-burnt family photo, her small fingers trembling as she holds onto a fading memory amid the chaos. A battlefield littered with discarded weapons and fallen soldiers, the silence after the storm heavy with grief and regret. A soldier's bloody boots left abandoned in the mud, silent evidence of a frantic retreat and lives lost in desperation. A child's face streaked with tears and dirt, looking up at the sky as bombs explode nearby, caught between fear and fleeting hope. An abandoned hospital hallway filled with broken stretchers and scattered medical supplies, echoing the cries of the wounded left behind. A man kneeling over a grave marked only by a cracked wooden cross, his body shaking with grief and exhaustion. A young woman clutching a letter from a fallen lover, her face pale and tear-streaked as she reads the final goodbye. A soldier's last breath caught in a silent photograph, his eyes locked on the horizon, the weight of war pressing down until the end. A child's empty shoes left on a war-torn street corner, a silent testament to lives lost and futures stolen without mercy. A shattered family photo held in trembling hands, the only reminder of love and life before the war's ruthless destruction. A soldier with a torn uniform holds a final message before death, his eyes filled with pain and fear, surrounded by the burning ruins of a city engulfed in the chaos of war. A bombed-out city with a little girl standing among the rubble, her empty eyes and dust-covered face reflecting loss and the suffering of children in war. The funeral of an unnamed soldier. His coffin is closed, surrounded by grieving families holding photos of their lost loved ones. A concentration camp scene. Exhausted people in striped pajamas stand for roll call, their faces showing extreme fatigue and hopelessness. A mother fleeing with her baby under fire, her face filled with terror and despair, while explosions and fires rage behind her, devouring everything. A line of prisoners stripped naked, standing silently in freezing rain, their bodies trembling as guards shout orders, hopelessness etched deep into every face. An old veteran, covered in scars and hanging skin, holds his soldier's dog tag, haunted by memories of the front lines. Planes in the sky during an air battle, leaving trails of smoke and fire symbolizing the deadly dance of destruction. Children's toys scattered among the ruins of a destroyed city, silent witnesses to shattered dreams and childhood lost to war. A military medic, exhausted and trembling, tries to save a wounded soldier as artillery explosions thunder nearby. Portrait of an officer with tears on his face, holding a farewell letter from home, knowing it might be his last hope. The moment a bomb explodes near civilians trying to hide, their faces struck with horror and pain. A warrior stands amid city ruins holding a flag, surrounded by destroyed houses and burned trees, a symbol of resilience and despair. Soldiers' hands, covered in blood and dirt, clutch a pierced weapon, the bloody price of war that must never be forgotten. A desperate father searches through debris for his lost daughter's belongings, his hands shaking as he finds a bloodied shoe, a chilling token of tragedy. A girl partisan with a gun staring directly at the camera, her gaze tells of struggle, fear, and unbreakable spirit. A family weeping over the ashes of a fallen father, husband, and son, a sacrifice that changed lives forever. A train carrying prisoners moves slowly through the night. Desperate eyes look from the windows, searching for salvation. Streets littered with bodies after a bloody battle, a grim reminder of the horrors and cruelty of war. A female teacher rescuing children from a ruined school, holding their hands amid dust and falling debris. A long-range artillery shot demolishes a civilian home, a moment that forever altered thousands of destinies. An image of a sniper hiding among ruins, his cold, calculated eyes ready to fire, the deadly silence before the shot, bloody footprints leading to a trembling child's hand, a tragic symbol of innocence lost in war. An old bell ringer in a ruined church tolls the bell in memory of the fallen, a sound that echoes dark times. A field medic sobbing as he tries to stem the bleeding of a soldier whose leg has been shattered by a shell, the futility of survival starkly clear in his eyes. A soldier runs across a minefield, unaware that the next step could be his last. A deadly gamble between life and death. Portrait of a young soldier smiling as he holds a letter from home for the first time in a long while, but his eyes reveal hidden pain and fear. A war-torn street filled with shattered buildings and abandoned bodies, the silence only broken by distant gunfire and haunting echoes of lost lives. A soldier clutching a blood-stained helmet, his face covered in grime and exhaustion, reflecting the horrors he witnessed on the battlefield. A wrecked airplane crashes in a fiery explosion, sending debris and smoke into the sky, a stark reminder of the brutal aerial battles. A nurse desperately tending to wounded soldiers, her hands trembling as she fights to save lives amidst chaos and bloodshed. A mother mourning over the empty crib of her lost child, surrounded by the rubble of a bombed home, her grief frozen in time. An abandoned concentration camp barracks with empty beds and haunting shadows, bearing silent witness to unspeakable atrocities. A soldier's shattered boots left in the mud, symbolizing lives cut short and dreams buried beneath the battlefield's dirt. A lone child wandering through destroyed streets, her clothes torn and face smudged with ash, clutching a tattered doll with one hand and hope with the other. A group of prisoners marched in chains under watchful guards, their faces hollow and resigned to a grim fate. A devastated city skyline at dawn with smoke rising from ruins, showing the aftermath of relentless bombing campaigns. A young girl clutching a tattered doll amidst rubble, her eyes reflecting both fear and resilience in the face of destruction. A war correspondent taking a photo while dodging bullets, capturing moments of despair and courage simultaneously. A pair of gloves stained with blood lying abandoned next to a shattered rifle, silent evidence of a fierce fight. Soldiers huddled in a foxhole during a freezing night, their breaths visible as they prepare for the next deadly encounter. A solitary cross marking a soldier's grave in a desolate field, surrounded by shattered trees and broken memories. A civilian family fleeing a burning village, their faces etched with exhaustion and terror as they carry what little they can. A captured enemy soldier with hands raised, eyes wide with fear, standing before a line of armed soldiers. A child's hand reaching out from beneath rubble, the desperate grasp embodying the countless innocent lives trapped and lost. A soldier's blood drips onto a faded photograph of his family, held tightly in his trembling hands moments before he charges into enemy fire. A military parade with empty uniforms and boots, a chilling tribute to the missing and the dead. A soldier writing a final letter home by candlelight, his face illuminated by hope and dread in equal measure. Wreckage of a destroyed tank smoldering on the battlefield, the silence after the storm of violence. A war-torn bridge partially collapsed over a rushing river, the lifeline for many cut off by destruction. A nurse comforting a crying child amidst chaos, her gentle touch a rare moment of humanity in brutal times. A battlefield strewn with spent shells and broken weapons, remnants of a fierce and deadly clash. A man standing alone in a ruined village square, staring at the ruins where his home once stood. A young soldier removing his helmet, sweat and grime covering his face, revealing exhaustion beyond words. The raw screams of civilians trapped in a burning building, smoke thickening around them as rescue seems impossible, and death looms ever closer. A column of refugees walking through a devastated landscape, faces tired but determined to survive against all odds. A war memorial engraved with countless names, standing solemnly beneath a cloudy sky as a reminder of sacrifice. A child's lifeless hand clutches a broken toy amid the ruins, the haunting symbol of innocence brutally stolen by relentless violence. An execution site, where prisoners kneel in terror moments before the fatal shot, their screams silenced forever by war's cruelty. A woman's torn dress and bloodied feet tell the silent story of a desperate escape from mass violence and atrocity. The skeletal remains of a starving prisoner, eyes hollow, skin stretched tight over bones, the grim face of human suffering and neglect. A shattered skull peeks from the debris, a grim memento mori of countless unmarked graves hidden beneath the battlefield. A burning village engulfed in flames, screams echoing through the night as families are torn apart by merciless soldiers. Soldiers' bodies piled like refuse, their vacant eyes staring into the void. casualties discarded by the brutal machinery of war.